Okay, testing out everything, making sure that it's going before I get started. We got Rumble up and going. Um, Beam is up and going. Just had a weird situation with them where I had to go and put my card in for free so that I could have a sponsor. Apparently, as long as I keep a sponsor, I don't have to pay anything. But I didn't know that that was like a requirement. So um, I got it going though. Now I have to check the audio on the channels, make sure they're all set up and going good. All right, got Rumble. Sounds good on Rumble. Listening to X Pro now. Going to X, see what it sounds like. Tonight's going to be Ancient Mysteries, guys. So that's coming on here in a minute. D Live. Okay, D Live sounds good. Freaking X is still doing the wheel. This makes the second day, I think, that it's been doing that. So refresh and tested the audio. It sounds good on there too. Sounds good on Twitch. Sounds good on Kick. And it sounds good on YouTube. Sounds good on YouTube as well. So today, like I said, is uh, Ancient Mysteries. And I am going to have that going here before long. This is going to be good. We finished off with the some. I had a problem saying that word last week too. Some of Thracian gods, Dioscuri, Cabieri, and Carabantus. So after that, uh, we are going to go even further and start talking about the autochthon or no autochthon or whatever. They're the um, well, they're pretty cool. I believe we've already done the robotic ones. I'm not sure upon that one, but what it basically is the Epigeus and all the tauntauns or some shit like that. I know it's a Greek word, and if you guys haven't noticed, I'm really horrible about that. So I'm going to. Well, I already got my coffee here, and I'm set up and ready to go. I could probably just go ahead and start this stream. Yeah, get that going. Um, right now, I have everything set up. I did the audio on it, so we are good to go. Now, I have also got my notes up, so yeah, we should be good to go. Let me go ahead and take a quick drink of coffee, and then I'll start with my reading. So, and I hope you guys do enjoy before I start saying this. Because I know with me, I've been having issues with the readings, with enunciations and stuff of that nature. And I appreciate anybody who is listening that's putting up with the bad grammar, because it really is horrible. Um, but with that being said, let me just take a drink of this coffee. Now, it kind of got a little bit exciting last week because we were talking about the Corabantes and their frenzied dances that parallel with secretive rites and stuff like that. So, kind of got into the spicy end of the whole Greek mythology part. Nobody ever checked those out. You need to check them out. It's pretty good stuff. Now we're going to talk about epigeus. Now, epigeus and autochthon are terms deeply rooted in ancient mythologies and cosmologies, often symbolizing connections between humanity, the earth, and divine origins. While they may not always refer to specific deities, these names carry significant cultural and mythological implications. The name Epigeus comes from Greek roots, epi meaning upon or over, ge or epige, geus. Now G means earth or ge. Now together the term means of the earth or earthly. Epigeus symbolizes beings or forces connected to the surface of the earth. While not a specific god in most traditions, the term can describe lesser divinities tied to the physical realm rather than the heavens or the underworld. In some contexts, epigeus might symbolize the human condition as beings born of and tied to the earth. As of the earth, epigeus may overlap with chthonic deities, those tied to the earth's fertility and death-giving powers. In Greek and Roman contexts, epigeus could refer broadly to earth-related entities, including agricultural spirits, protectors of the land, or figures tied to nature's cycles. The term autochthon derives from autos meaning self and chthon meaning earth or soil. The word translates to born of the earth or self-born from the earth. In Greek mythology, autochthons are humans or creatures that arise directly from the earth, symbolizing their pure connection to the land. Examples include the Spartio, warriors born from the dragon's teeth, sown by Cadmus of Thebes. Some early beings like Gaia, which is Earth, are described as autochthonous in their self-generation, emerging without parents. The concept of autochthony is often used to assert a people's ancient and rightful claim to a land, as they are born from the soil of this place. This idea was prominent in Athenian identity, as Athenians claimed descent from the autochthonous king Cecrops, Cecrops, depicted as part man and part serpent. Autochthon symbolizes life emerging from the earth, reflecting agricultural and natural cycles. The term conveys a sense of deep connection to one's homeland and the soil itself. Both terms emphasizes the bond between life and the earth, whether through creation, autochthon, or habitation, epigeus. Autochthonous beings represents the earliest life forms emerging directly from the primal earth. These figures or concepts often symbolize the earth's role as a giver of life and sustainer of human existence. While neither term refers to specific well-known deities, there are concepts applied to figures such as Gaia, the personification of earth and the ultimate autochthon, and Cecrops, the serpent man king of Athens, symbolizing the union of earth and humanity. Spartoi, the earth-born warrior tied to the myth of Thebes. Autochthon and Epigeus are used metaphorically in philosophical texts to discuss humanity's nature, morality, and relationship with the material world. Ancient people often invoke autochthony to claim a sacred connection to their homeland, grounding their culture in divine origins. Chthonic rites and earth-centric rituals often incorporate the symbolism of autochthonous origins in epigeal connections, emphasizing the earth's sacredness. The Phoenician deity Uranus, also referred to as Uranus in Greek traditions, holds a unique place in the Phoenician mythology. So here we start getting into the subject of Uranus, or the less popular known Uranus. So here we are going to discuss Uranus. Okay. In the Phoenician context, Uranus is portrayed not only as a primordial sky deity, but also as a figure deeply intertwined with themes of creation, cosmic conflict, and generational succession. The name Uranus translates to sky or heaven, reflecting his role as an embodiment of the celestial dome. In the Phoenician worldview, Uranus symbolizes the heavens above and serves as a counterpart to the earth, represented by other deities or forces. This duality aligns with the ancient cosmologies that view the heaven and earth as complementary elements of the universe. Uranus is a descendant of Copius, or chaos, in WWOW, a figure often identified with the primordial void or night. This lineage emphasizes his emergence from the primordial, unformed state of the cosmos. Uranus is a sibling of Ge, which is also another word for earth, which is spelled Ge, and other element forces, reflecting the interconnectedness of the natural world in Phoenician cosmology. Uranus fathers a generation of deities, including Elis, who is Kronos, who later becomes a central figure in the succession myth. His children represent various forces of nature and aspects of the divine hierarchy. A central theme in the story of Uranus is his conflict with his offspring, a motif mirrored in other mythologies such as Greek and Mesopotamian traditions. According to Sanchuniathon, Uranus rules tyrannically, leading to discontent among his children. This portrayal aligns with the archetype of the primordial ruler whose dominance must be challenged for cosmic order to evolve. Uranus is overthrown by his own son, Elis, who is Kronos, who conspires with his siblings to depose him. This act of rebellion reflects a recurring theme in ancient mythology, the younger generation rising to replace the older. As in the Greek myth, Uranus's castration is a pivotal moment, symbolizing the severing of his power. In the Phoenician version, this act results in the creation of additional beings, including seed deities and other forces. Uranus's defeat and subsequent marginalization in the mythic hierarchy underscore his role as a transitional figure in the cosmic order. Despite his fall, Uranus remains a symbol of the sky's overarching power and its connection to creation and destruction. In Phoenician theology, Uranus is not just a personification of the sky, but also a representation of the interplay between natural forces and divine will. The succession of deities reflect the cycles of nature and the transfer of power across generations. Uranus's connection to the heavens ties him to weather, celestial movements, and their influence of life on Earth. The relationships between Uranus, Ge, which is Earth, and other primordial figures highlight the interdependence of the cosmos. While the Greek Uranus and the Phoenician Uranus share similarities, such as their roles as sky deities and their involvement in succession myths, there are notable differences. The Phoenician version often includes more intricate genealogies and a focus on elemental origins. The Phoenician Uranus also reflects a localized understanding of cosmology, shaped by the region's seafaring culture and interactions with neighboring civilizations. Now, in ancient mythology, Ge represents the personification of the earth and is a primordial deity who symbolizes the foundation of life and existence. In Phoenician, Greek, and other ancient cosmologies, Ge occupies a central role in the source of fertility, stability, and interconnectedness between all natural and divine forces. Her significance varies slightly between cultures, but consistently emphasizes her role as the nurturing and sustaining mother of the cosmos. Ge is often described as one of the earliest beings to emerge from chaos or the void in many mythological traditions. In the Phoenician account preserved by Sanachuniathon, Ge arises alongside other elemental deities such as Uranus, which is the sky, and Pontus, which is the sea, reflecting her integral role in the structure of the cosmos. Ge is the progenitor of numerous gods, titans, and other mythological beings. She is the foundation upon which life and the divine order are built. Ge embodies the physical earth, including its soil, mountains, and fertile plains. She represents both the material world and its life-giving properties. As a personification, she is depicted as nurturing, abundant, and ever-present, yet also capable of immense power and wrath. Ge and Uranus are often depicted as consorts, symbolizing the union of earth and sky, which produces life. Their offspring include the Titans, who represent various forces of nature and aspects of the cosmos, the Cyclopes, and I hate saying this word, Hecatonicures. I hate that word. Who symbolize the untamed and chaotic aspects of creation. I hate that word, and the bad part is I'm going to have to say this word over and over again here now. Hecatoncheires. Here. I'll just do it as I read. Okay. A key myth involving Ge is the separation of herself from Uranus, often instigated by her son Cronus, or spelled with a C sometimes and spelled with a K, so everybody knows. So you can spell it Cronus or Kronus. It doesn't matter. Both spellings are correct. I've heard people talk about that, and I wanted to remember to mention that whenever I did this stream, because people always ask about that. How's the proper way? And it doesn't matter. You can spell it with a C or a K. They're both proper spellings. So it just depends on where you're coming from. You know, like different people in different areas spell it different. Okay, now this act symbolizes the differentiation of the heavens and the earth, a critical step in the creation of the ordered cosmos. The Phoenician mythology, no, in Phoenician mythology, Ge appears as a fundamental force in the pantheon, much like in Greek mythology. Ge is closely associated with the creation of life and the balance of the natural world. She works in harmony with Uranus and other primordial deities to establish the cosmic order. The mythology emphasizes her generative power, making her a central figure in the cycles of birth, growth, and renewal. Ge is the archetypal Great Mother, embodying fertility, abundance, and nurturing care. She is often depicted as a life giver, not only to plants and animals, but also to gods and humans. In ancient agricultural societies, Ge was revered as the source of crops and sustenance. Rituals and offerings were made to ensure bountiful harvests. Ge represents the foundation of existence, providing stability and support for all life. Her presence ensures balance in the natural world. While nurturing, Ge is also a force to be reckoned with. She can unleash her power through earthquakes, storms, and other natural phenomena, reminding mortals of their dependence upon the earth. Ge was worshipped widely across the ancient Mediterranean and Near East, including the Phoenicians, Greeks, and Rome. Offerings of grain, fruit, and flower were made to honor her fertility and life-giving properties. Earth-related festivals often marked the planting and harvest seasons. Groves, caves, and mountains were considered sacred to Ge, as they symbolized her presence and power. The personification of Earth as Ge influenced later cultural and religious practices. The Greek iteration of Ge, Gaia, became a foundation figure in the Hellenic mythology and philosophy. The Romans adopted Ge as Terra Mater, or Mother Earth, integrating her into their pantheon. Uranus, or Uranus, who in various ancient mythologies is considered one of the primordial deities and the personification of the sky. No, wait, hold up. Yeah, Uranus or Uranus, who in various ancient mythologies is considered one of the primordial deities and the personification of the sky. The story of Uranus's death and deification is tied to Greek mythology, but it is sometimes connected with Phoenician and broader Near Eastern cosmology themes as well. Uranus is often described as the Most High in Greek mythology. He represents the sky, and in many myths is considered the father of the Titans and other primordial beings. Uranus's role in the Greek creation myth involves his marriage to Ge, or Gaia, the earth, from whom he fathered several key figures in Greek mythology, including the Titans, the Cyclops, and the Hecatonics. That's probably Hecatonic or whatever, but I'm just going to say the Hecatonics. Now, Uranus or Uranus or Uranus and Ge were prominent primordial entities who came together to form the Earth, to form the first cosmic union. The first cosmic union. Uranus is the sky, covered and embraced. Covered and embraced. Uranus as the sky covered and embraced Ge, the Earth. This union symbolized the interconnectedness of the heavens and the earth. From this union, they produced numerous offspring, including the Titans, including Kronos, Rhea, Oceanus, and Hyperion. Then they created the Cyclops, who were one-eyed giants. Then you had the Hecatoncheires, which are hundred-handed beings of immense power. Despite their numerous children, Uranus was a tyrannical and oppressive father. Fearing his offspring's potential, he imprisoned them within Ge's depths, refusing to allow them to live freely on the earth. This caused great pain to Ge, who became resentful of his husband. Uranus's death is a central event in Greek mythology, symbolizing the shift from the old order to a new one. Now, before I go any further, I also want to mention that I've also heard that he ate his children as well. So it's not just that. I've heard it both ways. He imprisoned them within Ge's depths, but then I also heard that he swallowed his children as well. So I've heard both sides of that. I don't know which one would possibly be true, but I have heard both interpretations of it. Now, at the instigation of his mother Ge, Kronos, the youngest of the Titans, took up a sickle and castrated his father. Oh, wait, hold up. Kronos, never mind. Uranus. Uranus put his children within Ge, and then Kronos is the one who ate his children. I apologize. Yes, sorry. I'm getting them mixed up. At the instigation of his mother, Ge, Kronos, the youngest of the Titans, took up a sickle and castrated his father, Uranus, while he laid with Ge. This act was both a physical and symbolic separation of the sky from the earth. Kronos' rebellion against Uranus marked the end of the primordial rule of the sky and the beginning of the Titan reign. As Uranus was overthrown, he cursed Kronos and his offspring, prophesying that one of Kronos' children would overthrow him in turn, which would later lead to the rise of Zeus and the Olympian gods. The act of castration can be seen as a symbolic severing of the connection between the sky, Uranus, and the earth, Ge, which also marked the rise of a new generation of gods, the Titans, and later, the Olympians. After this overthrow, the death of Uranus is depicted differently in various myths. In some traditions, Uranus is not completely defeated, but is deified in the afterlife. His spirit or essence is said to continue to exist in some form, and he was revered in later times. After his death, Uranus was often associated with the heavens and stars. In certain interpretations, his essence was said to become part of the cosmos as the sky itself. This made him an eternal presence, watching over the world even after his death. Uranus, as a god of the sky, retained his position as a primordial force and was worshipped in some regions. In Phoenician theology, there are echoes of the sky god being revered, though his name and attributes may differ slightly from the Greek Uranus. In some interpretations, the death of Uranus represents the end of an old era and the beginning of a new cycle. Just as the sky is always present but constantly changing, Uranus's death symbolizes the perpetual cycle of cosmic transformation and renewal. While the myth of Uranus's death primarily focuses on his overthrow by Kronos, there are lesser-known variations of the myth that involve his encounter with wild beasts. In certain versions of the myth, Uranus is said to have been confronted by wild beasts or monstrous creatures as a form of punishment for his tyranny. These creatures could symbolize the forces of nature, chaos, or the untamed elements that oppose oppressive rule. The wild beast could represent the chaotic forces of nature that resist the rule of a single tyrant, and in some versions of the myth, they may even play a role in his downfall, emphasizing the theme of nature rebelling against oppressive rule. In Phoenician theology, there are parallels to Uranus, though his name and exact role may differ. In Phoenician mythology, El is the supreme god, often associated with the sky and heavens. Similar to Uranus, El is the father of many gods, and his rule is often described as wise and just, though, like Uranus, he may have been overthrown by younger gods or certain myths. Another deity associated with the sky and earth in the Near East is Dagon, who sometimes shared attributes with both Uranus and other deities representing agricultural fertility and the heavens. Though the stories may differ in detail, the themes of a sky god's reign, his eventual overthrow, and the creation of a new order are recurring motifs in ancient mythologies. Uranus, or Uranus, the Most High, represents the primordial sky god whose reign over the cosmos is marked by his eventual castration and overthrow by his son Kronos. His death is symbolic of the shifting of divine powers and the passing of the old order to the Titans. Despite his defeat, Uranus was deified, and his essence continued to influence the heavens and the stars. In both Greek and Phoenician mythology, his legacy reflects the cyclical nature of cosmic change, where even in death, the sky god remains a powerful and eternal force in the universe. In Greek mythology, the father of Uranus, the primordial god of the sky, was Ether. Ether represents the upper air or the clear sky, often considered the personification of the upper atmosphere or the pure, bright air that the gods breathe, as opposed to the air that mortals breathe. Ether, and Hemera, the personification of day, are often described as the parents of Uranus in some ancient sources. This genealogy places Uranus in the second generation of primordial beings, with Ether representing the ethereal, pure air above the earth, and Hemera symbolizing the light of day. Uranus, as the personification of the sky, was the first of the primordial gods to have dominion over the heavens and, in some accounts, is said to have ruled over the world before being overthrown by his son Cronus. His relationship with Gaia, the earth, produced the Titans, Cyclops, and Hecatonicures. But due to his tyranny, he was castrated by Kronos, leading to the eventual rise of the Olympian gods. As no way, a Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse is a term from ancient Semitic and Mediterranean religions that refers to a sacred stone or rock, often thought to have divine significance. So now we're getting to the Betelgeuse or the Betelgeuse. And this is a term from ancient Semitic and Mediterranean religions that refer to a sacred stone or rock. It's thought to have divine significance. The word itself derives from the Greek Betelos, meaning a sacred stone or rock, and is commonly used to refer to stones that were worshipped or regarded as divine in the ancient world. These stones were often seen as symbols of the gods themselves or were believed to contain the essence of divine power. In various ancient cultures, Betelgeuse stones were believed to be the embodiment of a deity, a symbol of the god's presence, or even the god itself in physical form. The worship of such stones can be found in many ancient Semitic traditions, including those of the Phoenicians, Canaanites, and other Near East people. Betelgeuse stones were central to the worship of Baal, the storm god, and other deities like Dagon and Satan. These deities, particularly Baal, were often represented by large stones or rock formation. No, were often represented by large stones or rock formations, which were seen as physical manifestations of their divine power. Dagon, the fish god, and Satan, the grain god, are both deities that are closely associated with agricultural fertility and prosperity. As fertility gods, their worship would have included symbols of nature, such as stones or objects thought to embody their life-giving power. In some traditions, Dagon and Satan might have been linked to Betelgeuse stones, or Betelgeuse stones, or Betelgeuse stones, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Betyylus. May have been linked to Betelgeuse stones as manifestations of their divine influence over nature. Now, in light of Betelgeuse and the figures of Kronos, Dagon, Satan, and Atlas, we can see some interesting parallels and syncretism between these gods. In Greek mythology, Kronos is the god of time and the leader of the Titans. He is often associated with the primordial forces of nature, and his myth revolves around cycles of time, creation, and destruction. In some traditions, Kronos was also linked to fertility and agricultural themes. that align him with gods like Dagon and Satan. However, unlike Dagon, whose power was directly linked to the harvest, Kronos' role in agriculture is more abstract and related to the passage of time that governs seasonal cycles. Dagon and Satan are Semitic deities associated with fertility, particularly the fertility of the land and the agricultural cycle. Dagon, as a grain and fish god, symbolizes abundance, while Satan, a variant of Dagon in some traditions, is specifically tied to grain and the harvest. In some traditions, the worship of these gods involved sacred stones or symbols that represented their life-giving powers. The Beautilus stones could very well have served as physical manifestations of these gods, allowing the worshippers to interact with the divine essence of Dagon or Satan. In Greek mythology, Atlas is a titan who is famously condemned to carry the weight of the heavens on his shoulder. He is associated with cosmology and the structure of the universe. While Atlas may seem somewhat distant from the agricultural fertility gods like Dagon and Satan, his role as a cosmic figure parallels the foundational role that stones like the Betelgeuse played in ancient cosmologies. The stone was often viewed as a symbolic representation of the world axis, or the point of contact between the divine and the earthly realms, similar to how Atlas holds up the sky. The Betelgeuse stone was not just a symbolic object. In many cultures, it was regarded as an actual divine entity. Some traditions even believed that these stones were the embodiment of the god's spirit, making them objects of reverence and worship. In the Phoenician and Canaanite traditions, Betelgeuse stones were sometimes linked to the worship of El, the supreme god, and his consort, Asherah. These stones were placed in sacred spaces such as temples or altars where people could come to honor the gods. Over time, the Betelgeuse stones were believed to become imbued with the divine power of the god they represented, further solidifying their importance in the religious practices of the time. In the ancient world, especially in the Mediterranean and Near East, the gods and their representations often overlapped and merged over time. The Betelgeuse stone, as a symbol of divine presence, may have been associated with multiple gods across different cultures. Betelgeuse, as a representation of Dagon, Satan, and other deities like Kronos and Atlas, could indicate the syncretic nature of ancient religious practices. For example, a Betelgeuse stone associated with Dagon would symbolize not only the god's power over the harvest, but also his cosmic influence over the world, just as Kronos represented the cyclical nature of time and the passage of seasons. The Betelgeuse could thus be viewed as a physical object that connects the heavens and earth, as well as the divine and human realms, a concept that was central to many ancient religious systems. The worship of such stones could involve rituals that acknowledge the god's role in creation, fertility, and the passage of time. The Betelgeuse stone, as a sacred object, plays a central role in the worship of ancient deities like Dagon, Satan, Kronos, and Atlas, reflecting the syncretism of ancient Mediterranean and Near Eastern religious practices. It served as a tangible connection between the divine and earthly realms, embodying the power and presence of the gods. As a symbol of fertility, time, and cosmic order, the bedless stone also ties together themes of creation, nature, and the structure of the universe that are central to the mythologies of these deities. Okay, Damaris is a figure in ancient mythology, but there is limited and somewhat fragmented information about her, Damaris, especially in the context of her mother. However, in some accounts, Damaris is referenced as a daughter of a prominent deity, though her specific lineage can vary across sources. Damaris is often mentioned in connection to Phoenician or Canaanite mythology. While not a central figure like some of the major deities, she does appear in certain genealogies and mythic context. Her association is often tied to the broader pantheon of deities and spirits in the ancient Semitic mythologies. It is possible that she was considered part of a local or regional divine family, possibly associated with fertility, nature, or agricultural cycles, which were common themes in Phoenician and Canaanite deities. There are varying accounts of who Damaris's mother might be, depending on the source. However, the name Damaris itself may suggest an association with a goddess of fertility, harvest, or life-giving forces, which would tie her mother to these domains. It's possible her mother was a goddess of nature or a prominent figure in the local pantheon. One of the possible mothers of Damaris, as suggested by some ancient texts, could be Asherah, the great Canaanite mother goddess, often regarded as the consort of El, the supreme god. Asherah was associated with fertility, motherhood, and the natural world, making her a fitting mother for a goddess like Damaris. However, the evidence linking Damaris specifically to Asherah or other major figures in Phoenician or Canaanite religion remains uncertain, and some traditions may describe her mother differently based on regional variations of the myth. If Damaris was indeed the daughter of Asherah or another goddess like Astarte or Tanit, she might have been considered a minor or local deity in a broader pantheon that celebrated feminine divine energy and nature's cycles. Her connection to fertility and agriculture, if she were the daughter of a goddess like Asherah, would tie her to a role of overseeing life-giving forces and perhaps influence the seasonal or agricultural fertility of the land. While uh, Damaris is not as well known as some other mythological figures, the mention of her in various texts and genealogies suggests she had an important, though possibly localized, role. If her mother was indeed a major deity like Asherah or Astarte, Damaris could have been associated with fertility, motherhood, and the cycles of nature, common themes in ancient Mediterranean and Near East religious traditions. However, the exact detail of her lineage remains somewhat obscure due to the fragmentary nature of the sources available. The Discovery, also known as Castor and Pollux, is next. Now, this is where things get good. This is where we start cutting into a lot. Now, before I start this, what I want to do is I want to step away for a second so that I can go use the bathroom. And when I come back, I will start on this and get into it. Because, like I said, this is actually where it starts getting to the part where we need to be. So let me get this set up with a cool video for you. And I'm going to put my text back up. That way you guys can see all the cool tickers that I've got on here. And I will be back here in a minute. Actually, I could probably even put a cool little background song on for you. Yeah. Let you guys relax and enjoy the mellow sounds of the millennium. Yeah, whatever. Okay, I am back, so let's get into this. So, the Discovery is who we're talking about. Also known as Castor and Pollux, are two of the most famous figures in Greek and Roman mythology. They're twin brothers, the son of the god Zeus and Leda, and are associated with a variant of myths and legends. Hold on a minute. I've got somebody creeping in behind me. I'm going to put the music on until this is done. So I am back. Let's get this going again. Got everything set up and ready to go. So what we're going to do is go into the Dioscuri. They're also known as Castor and Pollux. And they're two of the most famous figures in Greek and Roman mythology, believe it or not. There are twin brothers and the sons of the god Zeus and Leda. The sons of the god Zeus and Leda. They're also associated with a variety of myths and legends. They're known for their bravery, particularly in battle, and their association with the stars and the constellations. Their story is deeply intertwined with the themes of brotherhood, heroism, and immortality. Mount Cassius is an interesting location in the context of the Dioscuri, as it is associated with their myths, but there is also some historical and geographical significance to the name. The Dioscuri, meaning sons of Zeus, were twin brothers with a complex and fascinating mythology. They were often depicted as the epitome of brotherly love, loyalty, and martial prowess. The Dioscuri were born to Zeus, the king of the gods, and Leda, a mortal queen. According to myths, Zeus seduced Leda in the form of a swan, and from this union she laid two eggs. From one egg came Castor and Pollux, while from the other egg emerged their twin sisters, Helen of Troy and Clytemnestra. Uh, Clytemnestra or Clytemnestra. Now, the brothers' divine father Zeus was a powerful influence on their lives, but their mother Leda was mortal. Okay, Castor and Pollux were often depicted as protectors of sailors and travelers. They were also known for their role as warriors and adventurers, participating in many heroic deeds. Now, twins are best known for their participation in the Argonauts' expedition to retrieve the Golden Fleece and their involvement in various Greek wars. One of their most famous mythological tales involved their rescue of their sister Helen, who had been abducted by Theseus, and their role in avenging their mother Leda against the abductor. The Dioscuri also played significant roles in the Iliad, where they are shown fighting for the Greek forces. Perhaps the most enduring and part of no, perhaps the most enduring part of the Dioscuri story is their immortality. After Castor was killed in battle, Pollux was devastated in his grief. Pollux asked his father Zeus to allow him to share his immortality with his brother, so that they might never be apart. Zeus, moved by the brothers' love and loyalty, granted Pollux' request, and the two were transformed into this constellation Gemini, where they shine as the twin stars. As the Gemini twins, Castor and Pollux became symbols of companionship, protection, and loyalty, particularly for sailors who believed that the twins' presence in the heavens would guide them safely in their voyages. Mount Cassius is a significant geographic location in the context of the Dioscuri and their myths as well. The mountain is located in the region of Syria, specifically near the Mediterranean coast, in the area around the ancient city of Antioch. Mount Cassius is traditionally associated with the Dioscuri in ancient texts. In some versions of the myth, the mountain was named after Cassius, the son of the Dioscuri. This connection links the mountain directly to the twins, reinforcing their role as divine protectors of travelers and adventurers. The name Cassius itself is often linked to the Dioscuri in ancient myth, as Cassius could be considered an epithet or an epithet or an epithet or a title referring to their influence over a specific region. In fact, the Dioscuri were worshipped in various places, and Mount Cassius was one of those locations where their divine influence was thought to be particularly strong. In Greek and Roman texts, Mount Cassius is mentioned in relation to sailors and voyages, as the Dioscuri were believed to protect travelers. The mountain's association with the Dioscuri furthered this reputation, and the location was considered an important point of reference for seafarers who often saw the constellation Gemini as a symbol of guidance. Mount Cassius was also important in military contexts, particularly during the Roman Empire. It is famously known as the site of a battle during the Roman civil wars in 53 BCE, known as the Battle of Mount Cassius. The battle was fought between the forces of Crassus and the Parthian Empire, where Crassus was defeated and killed. The Dioscuri's association with military prowess and bravery, combined with the mountain's significance in historical events, helped cement its place in both myth and history. In modern times, Mount Cassius continues to hold a mythological and geographical significance, particularly in the study of ancient religions and the worship of the Dioscuri. The mountain's name, like the constellation Gemini, evokes themes of duality, protection, and the power of the divine brothers. The Dioscuri, Castor and Pollux, are central figures in Greek and Roman mythology, known for their bravery, loyalty, and protection of sailors. Their mortality, granted by Zeus, links them forever to the stars as the Gemini constellation. Mount Cassius, located in modern-day Syria, holds a significant place in their mythological narrative, often associated with the twins' protection of travelers and adventurers. The mountain is believed to have been named after Cassius, the son of the Dioscuri, and is considered a sacred place where their divine influence was strong. Now, the Dioscuri's role in military conflicts and their connection to the constellations and sailors further enhance their legendary status, and Mount Cassius remains an important site in the understanding of both mythological and historical contexts. Through these connections, Mount Cassius and the Dioscuri represent a harmonious blend of mythological influence and historical events, where divine protection, brotherhood, and bravery transcend both the celestial and terrestrial realms. Now, the birth of Castor and Pollux, the Dioscuri, and their sisters Helen and of Troy and Clytemnestra. I have a hard time with this one. Clytemnestra is a fascinating and complex myth that plays a significant role in the mythology of both Greek and Roman cultures. The story is intertwined with divine intervention, themes of duality, and the power of fate. The birth from an egg is a unique and symbolic element that reflects various ancient cultural beliefs, including those related to immortality, transformation, and divine order. Let's explore the myth in more detail, as well as the symbolic meaning and interpretation behind it. The Dioscuri, which is Castor and Pollux, and their sisters, Helen and Clytemnestra, were born as a result of the union between the mortal queen, Leda, and the god Zeus. The story begins with Zeus, the king of the gods, falling in love with Leda, the queen of Sparta. Zeus, in order to seduce her, transforms himself into a swan. Leda, unaware of the swan's true identity, was either seduced by the bird or, in some version, raped by it. After their union, Leda laid 2 eggs. From one egg emerged the Dioscuri, which is Castor and Pollux, while from the other egg came the 2 sisters, Helen and Clytemnestra. Now, the twins, Castor and Pollux, were often referred to as sons of Zeus due to their divine father, while Helen and Clytemnestra were sometimes considered to be fully mortals, though their mother, Leda, was also of royal lineage. The egg symbolism in the myth carries a significant weight as it connects to the idea of rebirth, transformation, and divine origin. In many ancient cultures, the egg was seen as a symbol of life and the cosmos, representing both fertility and the beginning of all things. The fact that the children were born from eggs highlights their semi-divine nature and suggests that their existence was not bound by ordinary human rules of birth and life. Castor and Pollux were born as twins of Zeus, the god of the sky and thunder, but their mother was Leda, a mortal. This dual parentage, divine and mortal, placed the twins in a liminal space, giving them exceptional qualities, including great strength, bravery, and skill in battle. Their sisters Helen and Clytemnestra were similarly marked by divine heritage through their father Zeus, but their mortal nature was more pronounced. Helen's birth from the egg is especially significant in the mythological context, as she would grow up to become one of the most famous figures in Greek mythology. Her beauty was so extraordinary that it led to the Trojan War, when she was abducted by Paris. Helen's birth from an egg represents her connection to both the divine and the mortal worlds, as well as her status as a figure of immense power whose action could change the course of history. Clytemnestra, the other sister, is most famous for her role in the Iliad and for her involvement in the tragic events surrounding her husband, Agamemnon, and her children. Though less prominent in the mythological narratives, her birth from the same egg as Helen indicates her shared divine heritage. In many ancient cultures, the egg was a universal symbol of creation, fertility, and new beginnings. It was often seen as the womb of the cosmos from which all life emerged. The idea of creation from an egg was not unique to Greek mythology, but appears in various traditions. For example, in Hindu mythology, the universe is said to have originated from a golden egg called the Brahmanda. The egg's 2 halves, often the yolk and the white, symbolize duality, and balance, reflecting the interplay of opposites that is a recurring theme in many mythologies. In the case of Castor and Pollux, the twins represents two opposing forces that complement each other rather than oppose each other, which is consistent with the concept of duality in their myth. The fact that Castor and Pollux, along with Helen and Clytemnestra, were born from eggs emphasized the idea that their births were not ordinary, but rather divinely orchestrated. Their parentage through Zeus and Leda suggests that they were part of a greater cosmic plan, destined for greatness or tragedy. Their divine origin through an extraordinary birth sets them apart from ordinary mortals and elevates their importance in the mythological landscape. The egg, as a symbol of potential and transformation, is linked to rebirth and the possibility of transcendence. Castor and Pollux, in particular, are transformed into the Gemini constellation, representing their immortality and eternal bond. The symbolism of their birth from an egg suggests that their journey was one of transformation, where they moved from mortality to divinity. In ancient Greece and Rome, the myth of the birth of Castor and Pollux, Helen and Clytemnestra, was interpreted in various ways. Castor and Pollux were often worshipped as protectors of sailors, and their birth from the egg was interpreted as a sign of their divine favor and their role in protecting the Greek and Roman peoples. The twins were believed to appear in the sky as the constellation Gemini, guiding ships safely to shore. The story of their birth emphasizes the importance of fate in Greek mythology. Their lives were determined by divine forces, and their actions, from the Trojan War to their transformation into stars, were all part of a greater cosmic plan. The egg symbolizes the birth of fate and destiny, where divine forces shape the course of events. The birth of Castor and Pollux from the egg symbolizes the duality of life and death. Castor, who was mortal, was eventually killed, while Pollux, who was immortal, chose to share his immortality with his brother. This duality between mortality and immortality, represented by the egg, reflects the tensions between human limitations and divine potential. The myth of Castor and Pollux, Helen and Clytemnestra being born from an egg, is rich in symbolism and meaning. The egg represents the beginning of life, the cosmic womb, and the potential for transformation. It signifies the divine nature of these characters and their connection to both the mortal and immortal realms. The egg also embodies the themes of fate, duality, and rebirth, with Castor and Pollux's immortality as stars serving as a lasting reminder of the profound impact of their mythological existence. The ancient Greeks and Romans used this symbolism to emphasize the power of the gods, the role of fate, and the complex interplay between mortality and divinity in their mythological stories. The names Sididus, Astarte, Ahia, and Dione appear in various ancient mythologies, particularly those of the Phoenicians, Canaanite, and Greeks, with some overlapping or shared roles in different cultures. These deities represent a fascinating blend of feminine power, fertility, love, and cosmic influence. Seditus is a lesser-known deity from the Canaanite and Phoenician pantheon. In these traditions, he is often associated with roles of fertility, the underworld, and his life cycles. His name and specific characteristics vary depending on the source, but he is sometimes identified as a god of vegetation or agriculture, helping the earth yield crops and sustain life. His worship is often linked to the cycle of death and rebirth, and in some interpretations, Seditus could be seen as a god who presides over the seasons or the transition between life and death. Seditus's role is not as well defined in surviving texts, but his association with fertility suggests a focus on agricultural abundance and life-giving forces. In some accounts, Seditus is viewed as an underworld deity or a companion to other fertility gods. Seditus is often paired with other major gods in Canaanite and Phoenician myths, particularly those associated with nature and fertility, such as Baal or Asherah. Astarte is one of the most prominent and well-known deities in the Canaanite, Phoenician, and Syrian pantheons, also having influence in Mesopotamia and Greek mythology. She is primarily known as the goddess of love, fertility, war, and sexuality. That would be Ishtar or Inanna. So if you guys want to know, that's Astarte. That's the Canaanite name for her. She is primarily known as the goddess of love, fertility, war, and sexuality. In many myths, Astarte is portrayed as a powerful and independent goddess with strong associations with cosmic forces and the cycle of life. Astarte is frequently depicted as a mother goddess symbolizing fertility, love, and the earth's productive forces. She is also a warlike deity, often shown leading armies into battle. Her worship includes rites of fertility, such as sacred prostitution, and she is sometimes associated with Venus or the morning star in her role as a celestial body. Astarte is linked to Baal in several myths, often as his consort or counterpart. In Greek mythology, she is identified with Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and in some versions, she is equated with Venus. Astarte's imagery includes the crescent moon, lions, and doves, and she is often depicted as a beautiful and powerful woman, sometimes holding weapons or surrounded by symbols of fertility. Ahia is a somewhat obscure figure in ancient mythology, and information about her is less widely documented. However, she is sometimes mentioned in Phoenician and Canaanite traditions, with various sources suggesting she may have been a goddess linked to fertility, nature, and the cosmos. In some interpretations, Ahia is associated with the sky, the earth, or the sea. She has been seen as a nurturing or life-giving force in these traditions. Her precise attributes and domain are not as widely recorded, but she could have been worshipped in relation to seasonal cycles or natural forces. There is speculation that Ahia could be a variation of other major fertility deities in the region, such as Astarte or Asherah, with whom she shares some thematic elements. Dione or Dion is a more widely recognized figure in Greek mythology, particularly in connection with the Titan pantheon. Dione is sometimes regarded as the mother of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, and sexuality, and is often seen as a goddess of the earth or a divine consort. In some versions of Greek mythology, Dione is considered the mother of Aphrodite, while in other accounts she is a companion of Zeus or Apollo. Her role is often associated with primordial elements of nature, especially the earth and the heavens. Dion's importance to mythology is sometimes overshadowed by more prominent deities like Hera or Athena, but she retains a certain significance in early Greek myth. Now, Dion's most famous connection is with Zeus, as the two are said to have a child, Aphrodite. In some versions of the myth, however, she also appears in connection to the Titan tradition, which places her as a figure of considerable cosmic importance. She may have been worshipped in Delphi alongside Apollo, where her cult was practiced. Dione, or I usually called her Diane, but they're calling her Dione, Dione. Dione is often depicted as a motherly figure linked to fertility, nurturing, and the earth's cycles. Her worship suggests that she was revered as a goddess who held sway over natural and cosmic forces. The deities Saditas, Astarte, Ahia, and Dione share certain themes and characteristics that highlight their connection to fertility, cosmic power, and the natural world. In many ancient cultures, especially in the Canaanite, Phoenician, and Greek traditions, goddesses of this type were central to religious and cultural life. They represented both the fertile earth and the cosmic forces that influenced the lives of humans, from birth and death to war and love. Saditas and Astarte share roles as fertility deities in their respective mythologies, with Astarte also being associated with war and sexual power, while Saditas seems more connected to the Earth's cycles. Ahia, though less documented, could be seen as a more obscure or local variant of these powerful goddesses of nature, especially in Phoenician and Canaanite beliefs. Dione, in her connection to Aphrodite, symbolizes the cosmic mother, a role that resonates with the nurturing and life-giving qualities of both Astarte and Saditas. Her association with Zeus suggests a more universal connection to the divine. These deities were often central figures in rites of fertility, seasonal celebration, and rites of passage, emphasizing the cyclical nature of life and death, the interconnectedness of humanity and nature, and the importance of divine protection and favor in all aspects of life. The deities Saditas, Astarte, Ahia, and Dione all reflect key themes of fertility, life, and cosmic order in ancient mythology. Though they come from different traditions, Canaanite, Phoenician, and Greek, they share similar roles as nurturing, powerful female figures who embody the life-giving forces of nature and the cosmos. Their myths and symbolism offer insight into how ancient cultures viewed the forces of creation and the cyclical nature of existence, and the way in which divine powers influence human life. Okay, so right there is where I'm going to stop. I believe this would be episode, another episode, a good spot to stop there. Now, after this later on, I am going to be getting into Imermene, and Imermene is a figure from ancient Greek philosophy and mythology. Um, and I will continue from that point on. But like I said, I have a lot of information on this, and I'm going to be coming out with more of it. I'm actually coming at it from all different directions because since I did my strange stories on Mount Fuji in the suicide forest over in Japan, I've kind of shot out into different areas. So I've got a lot of interesting stuff coming out about concerning history on not only ancient mysteries, but also on strange stories and WWOW Talk too. So I've got some pretty cool stuff coming out. It's been constant editing. I've been going through and editing all the notes that I have and putting them together to where they'd sound somewhat decent. Um, I hope you guys have enjoyed so far, but I I don't know. If you guys want to leave a comment in the comment section, give me some feedback. Let me know how you like it. Um, I really do appreciate or enjoy doing this stuff. This is probably one of the things I like doing the most is talking about ancient history. So, um, with that being said, let me know what you think, and I will talk to you later. Bye.